Basically, I think the
Yes.
fact that we are organizing it on a very regular basis, like twice a year,
Twice a year.
triathlon, and at one moment we had twice a year the swimathon. So then actually you had a reason to commit yourself almost every 3 months to some event.
Correct. Do you face any organizational challenges, let's say from the government or from the authorities, or because I know you couldn't get road closures, but the road was definitely it was empty. It wasn't like there wasn't traffic per se. So what were the challenges that you faced when you started to organize these races for the very first time? Was getting participants a challenge, or you already had a lot of participants?
I think given the fact that we had like different levels, and Race is kind of basic, even though triathlon sounds a little scary to people new to the triathlon. If you look at an enticer, many people new to it really kind of joined enticers and sprints to really say, oh, I can actually do this. I can run 5 kilometers, I can cycle 10 kilometers, I can swim, 750 meters for a sprint triathlon. So that really motivated people a lot to start participating, and then event after event upgrade to the next level. So it was like a nice step-by-step process. Organization-wise, I mean, given the fact that we were outside the city, permission was not much of an issue. We talked to the local punch shot leaders, the village leader there. Hey, we are coming here with, say, 200 participants from this to this time. The water body, again, did not really belong to anyone, the water quarry again. So we used to talk to the local punch shot leader again. We'll be in the water for so long, then we'll be running in that part of Otiambakam, small town outside city. And then cycling again, by the time people started cycling, they were all spread out. So seeing 200 people spread out over 3-4 hours on the old Mahabalipuram road south of Chennai was hardly noticeable. So there was no real need there to obtain a formal permission, as there were never like a huge group of concentrated cyclists in a cycle-only kind of event. But as again, we started scaling up. I remember in 2017, during the peak triathlon days, we had like 1,000 people participating from 50 cities across India. So with that little name of Otiambakam and Chennai Trekking Club, not really a sports organization, but more like an outdoor group, became pretty famous through words of mouth and social media. We had like an amazing group of like photographers also who used to cover the event beautifully and spread awareness like anything on the social media. So that word spread, and then we had like peak days. So that days, of course, it's the locals were thinking, what's happening here? 1,000 people all of a sudden.
1,000 people. And I recollect my experience with the Chennai Trekking Club. It was back in 2016, the June edition. I did the half iron that day, and it was a fabulous experience. And it was one of its kind because I think it's the first race which starts at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And then it starts with the swim at 3 p.m. So it's never hot per se. And by the time you're coming, you start the bike leg, it is around 4:30, and the cycling leg happens. By the time you end your cycling leg and you start running, it's already night, and it's a midnight finish. And what I really loved is that the volunteers, all of them were actually active athletes, were active members of the club, and who really cared for you.
Yeah.
So the crowd support was amazing, and I think more than anything else, a lot of people, even I used Chennai Triathlon as like a stepping stone. Like I did the full Ironman in 2017, but I planned to do Chennai Triathlon, the half iron distance, as a preparation for the full distance. So I think it was a very good opportunity for to practice your skills, to go the distance before you go out and do the official event. And I have a picture.
Basically, I think the fact that we are organizing it on a very regular basis, like twice a year,
Twice a year.
and at one moment we had twice a year the swimathon. So then actually you had a reason to commit yourself almost every 3 months to some event.
Correct.
Plus then another almost 3 ultra races like Javadu Ultra Run, Kodai Ultra Run, and then this Chennai Trail Run. So that gives you like almost 7 events throughout the year. So every 1.5 months, people used to sign up and they could never get out of practice, right? Because they had to prepare for the next one.
Correct.
And what you're saying there on timing was also something very interesting. I mean, organizing like a full iron or even a half iron in a tropical hot climate like Chennai could be, I mean, very challenging. So initially we started everyone in early morning, but that of course was trouble for the half and the full guys who ended up running under a midday sun in Chennai, simply getting exhausted due to the heat. So over the time, and with also an increasing number of participants, we started kind of shuffling the start timings of the swim so that at least the run portion could be done somewhere in a not so hot part of the day. As I mean, a lot of DNIs, a lot of non-finishers happen due to the climate.
Yes.
And like you said, I mean, a volunteer-based setting where the volunteers are also like active sportsmen who used to participate in these weekly training sessions, running, swimming sessions. Some of them who had completed half irons, they were actually the best volunteers to understand the needs of the participants, to support them. Right. Typically with every full iron, we used to have another volunteer running along with him to motivate him to finish the final section of the triathlon. So it's not like you're a volunteer or you're a participant. You're always kind of a part of the event from either perspective.
Part of the community.
Yeah, and given the fact that that's not commercial, there's no like somebody is making money out of it. No, we're all in it together, same level. There is no organizer, there's no volunteer, there's no participant. Everyone is actually the same. Made it unique that we used to sleep together. The previous night, people used to come from outstation, sleep at the venue. We had some college there, I remember.
Yes, Agni College, Agni Engineering College. I remember it very well. And you had actually booked like a few rooms in the college itself. That, you know, if you want to come here and you want to take part in the event, you might as well stay overnight at the venue itself at no extra cost.
Correct. So, yeah. Because logistics is, I mean, organizing an event is one thing, but logistics of getting 1,000 people from like 50 cities across India in a remote village, 1 hour south of the city, is not that simple. So anything you do, whether it's organizing an ultra run in some, like say, Javadu Hills, a remote mountain, or organizing a triathlon in the outskirts of a metro, needs sufficient travel,
needs sufficient space,
arrangements for people to participate. So.
And when doing all this at a minimal cost and getting still, and I remember you had timing chips and bibs for everybody. You had a bib which had our names printed, I still have that bib with me.
Yeah, so when you say chips and all that stuff, that was also a very interesting experience from organizing like very simple events, say having no clue what is actually a bib, timing chip and all that in the initial editions. Over the years, we evolved quite amazingly. Like we had our own timing system, because these timing systems also used to be quite commercial and very expensive. They used to ask for 100 rupee license per participant, not even like a one fixed price for the whole system. So we used to build our own RF tags, then attach it to a chip and work out the entire software and hardware actually to register people, then generate like certificates online using names and images automatically overlaid. So having that big organization of volunteers really allowed us to kind of make it completely self-sufficient without any external dependencies. And as a result, also keep it very cheap. I mean, as volunteers, we're doing it free of cost. The only expense we had were basically the materials, the nutrition, the first aid, the transportation, and so. So that allowed us to organize it at very minimal cost with no intention actually to ever charge more than needed to cover the cost.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure, I think I paid maybe 600 rupees. I think maybe not even that. Maybe it was 400 rupees for everything, for a finisher medal, for a finisher t-shirt, for a timing chip, for a timing certificate, and the bib. I'll show you the bib. It has your name printed on it. So it's just amazing what the kind of cost effectiveness that that used to happen, and that was one of my best triathlon experiences in ever.
And then also the fact that triathlons were not very common in India those days, right?
Yes.
2012, I think you must have been one of the first, at least on the full iron side.
Yes,
Full iron
very few. Maybe not even 100 people had done it when I finished the race. So 2017 it was very rare. And that's why the people I met in the race, in the triathlon itself, during those 2-3 days, we are still very good friends now, and we've kept in touch with a lot of people. Because that community back then was very small. Like if someone does the full Ironman, everyone knows about him. So we know the other full Ironman finisher. You know, it was such a close-knit one. But now it's good to see that the community is increasing. And tell us about
all this awareness, right? I think to create any ecosystem, right, for any type of sports. If I look in Belgium, you can go for a trail run every weekend, sign up to some run there. So only that kind of ecosystem and that culture where you organize something on a very regular basis, only then people can excel and discover their potential. If you're just gonna have a 42,000 rupee registration fee and have to fly to Thailand or Malaysia to participate in the one and only triathlon nearby, obviously you cannot never bring out the talent that is locally available.
Correct. Something I read about you somewhere. Tell us about your self-supported Ironman attempt that you did. I read about it. Can you tell us why? Why did you do a self-supported full Ironman?
So, I mean, that was somewhere in 2014, I think. So up till I only started running in 2013. So the initial 2 years when we organized the triathlon, right, we had all these triathletes, runners, long distance runners, open water swimmers coming, supporting them. So I was fully engaged with organization. I was one of the guys in the core team, along with other people who used to come and go along during the years. But I could not afford to participate because I knew it was always something happening during the organization that we had to be there to make sure that the organization went fine. And then even to give medals to the people at the podium was nice to be there and congratulate people. So then I thought, okay, people ask me, when are you going to do a triathlon? I wasn't even running. I mean, I was just a hiker. So then I thought, okay, let me also try maybe one of a triathlon. But I could not do this during the official triathlons, as I really wanted to make sure that those went properly. There was always some last minute issue coming up that we needed. Careful handling, running out of aid station materials, having to pull out people sometimes in panic in the open swimming, or supplying some aid station 45 kilometers from the city that was running out of supplies. So I used to use my SUV car to manage all the logistics and drop materials everywhere, pick it up again. I would say more than the 18-hour full iron triathlon, it was the 20-hour volunteering, during and post event that actually knocked you completely out and prepared you to do something bigger than a full iron. So then I finally, got a little restless, and somewhere in 2014, I don't remember the month, I thought, okay, I'm feeling pretty good now. I've also done quite a bit of cycling in the mountains and swimming in the sea. We had been organizing open water swimming for a while. I was then into running ultra runs. So then I said, okay, let me try full iron myself once. I don't want to bother anyone. So I just got somebody's triathlon watch, the Garmin 920 XT, I guess.
Yes, I still have the watch. I'm still using 920 XT.
A lot of guys bought that eventually. So I just live here 200 meters from the sea. So one morning, I didn't even plan for it. I just got somebody's road bike the previous day, got the triathlon watch, so at least I can measure the distance of the swim especially. Then went for my usual morning swim in the sea, finished some 2 kilometers outside, 2 kilometers inside. By the time you go 2 kilometers in the sea, you hardly see the 12-story IT buildings in the IT corridor here. They look like little ants. So I thought, okay, it's time to take a U-turn, come back. Water was pretty rough. Came back to my home, changed, got the carbon bike, did a little bit of running.
How clean is the Chennai water? Because I'm sure the Marina Beach, right?
Yeah.
Did you swim in the Marina Beach, and how clean is the water, and how often do people swim? Do people even swim in the sea over there?
Uh, People don't swim in the sea here. I mean, given the fact again that not too many good people are good swimmers, even swimming in the open water, still waters of a quarry is quite challenging for most. So when in the rough seas with waves, the temperament of the sea is different every day. It might be peaceful now, tomorrow it might be very rough, especially the first 100 meters to get through those big initial waves is a bit tricky. But then again, I mean, in terms of cleanness, the water is pretty nice. Initially, you have a little bit of muddiness because of it, the force of the water that mixes with the pretty low base of the sea, the seabed. But once you get like 100 meters out in the sea, it's like a blue lagoon again. The pollution of the city that exits through two rivers, Adyar and Coombe River, actually never reaches. That's, I mean, especially I'm living south of the city here, like probably some 5 kilometers from Marina Beach. So that was quite clear, no issues with that. So after that, I jumped on the carbon bike. Carbon bike again was piece of cake. You just give it a kick, and before you know it, you finish at 180. That was nothing actually compared to the mountain biking, hardcore mountain biking you used to do in very rocky and bad trails, carrying sometimes the mountain bike on top of the shoulder. I still remember doing in 2013, the previous year, 1,000-kilometer mountain bike trip from Shimla to Leh in the Himalayas, going over 17,000 feet passes. So this was kind of peanuts. I mean, flying on that carbon bike. And then I came back to my home, and then I started doing, I didn't have any aid stations being self-supported, so I just figured out a 7-kilometer loop, drink some water in between at my home, keep a new bottle of water in my fridge so that by the time I finish 7 kilometers, it would be cold.
It would be cold.
Loop like 6 times to finish my 42K. So, and then I thought, I never knew, okay, can I do this? I knew it's like, it took me almost 18 hours, I think, probably above the official international cutoff time. But it felt good to really have to feel, okay, this is what it is, even without dedicated practice, to really understand now what participants are going through it. I had been seeing this for years as a volunteer organizer, but never actually knew what people experience from the need for nutrition, especially after you have been burning for 5 hours into the race. So that really gives them better expertise to support the people further than in subsequent events.
That is amazing. So now let's just to conclude. We've talked a lot about your experience, your background. We've talked about how Chennai Trekking Club came to the picture. We've talked about how the Chennai Triathlon came into the picture.
Anyone viewing this video, if you like this interview, please share it with your friends and relatives and ask them to subscribe to this channel.